You're watching Morning at NTV.
This is Morning at NTV. Many thanks for still staying with us. Just in case you're joining us, let's engage on hashtag Morning at NTV across all the social media platforms. You can also tag me directly at Malaki Villa Odera. If you didn't know, today it's International Human Rights Day, but we'll be getting into that conversation later on. But before we get into that, let's talk some business here and there. Now, solar as an energy source is on the rise, and one of the questions people keep asking is why its costs is still high and why it isn't being used as a source of social good. Now, to speak to us about solar as a renewable energy and why it costs an arm and a leg to have a reasonable solar case, plus their work with refugees, we have Mr. Ronald Bwenje. He is a water pump and irrigation engineer from Uptech Africa. Many thanks and welcome to Morning at NTV.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Talk to us about the company, Uptech Africa. What is it that you do?
Well, our company is called Uptech Africa. We specialize in solar energy and solar water pumps. Yes, our headquarters are in Kampala, Uganda. We are located at 7th Street, Industrial Area, Oxford Station Building. Where we provide renewable solar energy solutions for electricity and water pumping. Yes, and usually this is majorly done in off-grid areas where the marginalized groups like refugees reside. Yes.
So as a business, essentially, do you cater to businesses alone or households as well?
Well, we have a very big approach because we work to provide the solutions to any person who is in need of these services. So in that case, we work with NGOs, UN agencies to provide these water solutions to these refugee camps. Also work with the local governments. We work with ministries and all other private individuals who are in need of this new technology.
All right. Before we get into the refugee conversation, just let us in. A majority of us have tried to look at alternative sources of energy over and above electricity, you know, and solar comes into play. But putting up a unit is always very expensive. Make us understand why.
Okay, thank you. Usually in the beginning, like initial investment, it looks expensive. But what I want Ugandans to understand is that the solar system will pay itself in the long run.
How?
Because, look, you are paying bills every day or every month. Okay, let's say every month you are paying bills. So usually this solar system, when you have it, the money you're using to pay these bills will be saved. So in the long run, the system is yours and you're no longer paying bills, maybe after 1 year.
And how about the maintenance costs?
Well, not so much. If the system is well sized, like at Uptech Africa, we have a highly trained and skilled team of engineers that do assessment for the client. We do a proper assessment of your loads. Then we design the system, we install it in the right way. And when that is done, usually the maintenance costs are not much. In fact, it is important to know that the time you need to maintain the system, it has paid back already.
So we're looking at how often should I maintain my unit?
Not so much. Usually batteries are between 7 to 10 years.
7 to 10 years?
Yes, depending on the quality you have bought. At Uptech Africa, we have very good quality solar products, which can stay up to that much. So the maintenance cost comes into play actually when the system has paid back.
Okay.
But we are lacking, maybe we're having a sensitization gap. People do not understand this. So we are really doing this to make sure people understand that solar is the next big thing.
It is already the big thing, especially in the energy space. At least now you've broken it down that it's the initial investment that is slightly higher, but after that, you'll be smiling all the way. Okay, let's move on to the refugee conversation. Uptech Africa is taking on refugees, providing water to them via your solar solutions. How does that work?
Like I said before, it begins from the ground. We have a highly skilled team of engineers who start with a complete site assessment. We do water source preparation. Then we install the water pump.
Water source preparation is digging of boreholes or what?
It depends on the site.
Okay.
Some sites have surface water sources, which we can prepare, create an intake, create a reservoir, where we shall pump from. Some sources have really water levels deep in the ground. So in this case, we do borehole drilling up to a depth that is recommended after we have done the survey. Then we do the borehole, and then we can pump it from that source.
And so how does it work out? Is it, like you said, partnering with different agencies to ensure that this is given to the different refugee camps, or how do you break that project in terms of the cost?
Usually UN agencies and some other NGOs are into this. Usually they do their background study. If they want to provide water to a given refugee camp, usually they do their background study, they get their consultants, then they do most of the groundwork. They do the design, they provide us with BOQs, and really it's done through bidding. So they send out the documents to all the reputable companies, then you bid. Then you stage your case. How good are you? Do you have the capacity to do this work? Technically, financially, in all other aspects. So usually when you win this tender, then you get on ground. You start from where they began from. They are done their survey, they are graded BOQs, then you go to the ground and check whether what they have done on the ground is actually workable. Because we are the experts. So when they've done their groundwork, we go and check what they have done. We advise, it's a thought-through process. We advise each other, we think together and come up with the right thing, because at the end of the day, we want to provide water to the refugees. So we work in hand and start from there.
All right, interesting. And how many camps have you worked with?
Quite many. To name them, we have done a system in Kavletu, Changa Refugee Settlement. It has a 60 kilowatt peak solar system. And the system pumps over 180,000 liters per day. Yes, we have also done one in Ofuafo, Rhino Camp, that is in our district. It has a 57 kilowatt solar system. It pumps over 1,000 liters per day. And as we talk of now, we are installing another one in Kilianongo Refugee Settlement, that is in the Kilianongo district. It is not so big like the previous two. It has a 5 kilowatt PV solar system, and will be pumping over 50,000 liters per day.
So when you put the number of the refugees that you've been able to positively impact through this project, is around 100K, 100,000?
Or more.
Or more?
Yeah, sure.
That's interesting.
Because usually when we provide water to a refugee camp, usually they are clusters. We may not cover the whole of it because it's usually big, but we have really covered a huge number, even more than 100,000.
Interesting. Now, you throughout these projects, you've directly interacted with these refugees, and it's amazing that you've provided for them one of the most most needed resources, and that's water. And congratulations for that.
Thank you.
But when you interact with them, what do they say that they need over and above the water? Now that they have the water, what is it that they need?
First and foremost, it's important to note that water is the most essential need required by refugees. But also from our interactions with them, we would think and suggest they need income generating projects which they can be directly involved in. First, as a way of making them earn money to feel good in society, and also another thing to avoid the boredom, to give them something to do, because a number of the youth in the refugees are really redundant. Yeah.
So making sure that they are economically empowered to involve themselves in economic and money generating activities.
Because other aspects like healthcare, they are really catered for very well. Food, they are provided with food. UN agencies and other NGOs are doing a very good work on that. So what I would think is that one.
All right.
Yeah.
So what does the future look like for Uptake Africa with regards to their involvement with the refugees?
Well, the future is bright for Uptake Africa. We hope to work with refugees more and more, because we are working in a field where the essential need lies, which is water, and because there are enough grid areas, and we are experts in solar water pumps and solar energy, so the future is bright for us and for the refugees, because we are here to provide them with other solutions for life.
Okay. Yeah. Many thanks, and we wish you all the best as you continue to do good to society. Many thanks for that. Of course, that's a conversation with Mr. Ronald Bwenje, a water pump and irrigation engineer from Uptake Africa. Keep those comments coming on #morning@NTV.
You're watching Morning at NTV.